Toastmaster Ruth Fernandes, who is the head of talent of Daksada with overall 27 years of rich experience in talent management in various industries when it comes to retail, financial services, FMCG in India and Middle East. She holds the post-graduation degree with honors of psychology and also number of professional certifications, including in counseling. She is one of the veteran Toastmasters and also a vice president education and secretary for one of the clubs in UAE. She has completed successfully hundreds of retained and contingency based assignments in her career. One of the things, the key speciality that she believes is that she refuses to settle for anything less than more. She refuses to settle for less than the best, whether it is for candidates, whether it's for her clients, or whether it is for herself. With said that, I now hand over the podium to our speaker on top trends in talent acquisition. Over to you, Toastmaster Ruth Fernandes.
Thank you so much, Wenzel. That was a very nice description of my background and experience. And I'm really honored that you introduced me that way. So, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, all guests. Good evening, Avil, and all of the members of Job Hunt who are present here. Today, first of all, I'd like to share my screen if you don't mind. Can you see my screen and can you view me as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today's topic is top trends in talent acquisition. Talent acquisition is something that I'm really passionate about. And just like Avil said, I've spent the last 29 years actually in talent acquisition in Dubai. I'd like to introduce the company that I helped to set up in 2012. The name of my company is Daksada. Let me just do a slide share. Yeah, this is my company and this is who I am. The people who you see on the screen are my colleagues at work. We are the senior management and we are the ones who drive business in various sectors. We are not a recruitment agency. We are a business transformation company. And the kind of work that we do is we help both SMEs as well as large organizations transform themselves. So we have different practices. There are HR, learning and development, and the other is talent management, which I head. You can see my colleagues there. I'd like to talk to you about talent management. What, in your opinion, is talent management? What do you think? How would you define talent acquisition? Talent acquisition refers to the process of identifying and acquiring skilled workers or professionals to meet an organization's needs. And I'd like to draw that comparison to what recruitment is all about. Recruitment is pulling out CVs from a job, from a database, or from a job site, or from LinkedIn, and then passing them on to an organization for processing. But talent acquisition is much, much more. You take on the responsibility of, say, writing a job description, pulling out the competencies that are required in the job role, then passing them on to the client, identifying candidates, interviewing them on these competencies, and then shortlisting the right candidate. And I wanted to tell you that that is something that is so important, especially in today's times when organizations want to be slim and trim and not have too many people in the organization. And I will talk about that a little later. What is talent management? Talent management is an extension of talent acquisition, where you join the company and then every part of your progress is taken care of by human resources. Your performance, your succession, your growth, and the ability and the organization's ability to take care of your progress in the organization. What is the role we play as talent specialists? We help our organizations do just that, identify the right candidate and ensure that candidate stays with the organization as long as possible. What is the role of a job seeker or a candidate? I thought I would explain that as well. The role of a job seeker or a candidate is to understand what a talent specialist can do for them and what are all the technicalities, what's the background, what happens in the background when they meet with a talent acquisition specialist, and how they can grow in an organization through talent management. I thought that is very important for me to talk about. Coming to present times, like everyone says, and I know that it has been repeated so many times that it's become a very boring subject. So let me call it the tremors of 2020. Just imagine yourself in an aeroplane trying to take off. And the aeroplane is taxiing round down the runway, and then it's time for it to take off. So it picks up speed and then zoom, it is in the air, right? That's exactly what has happened to us. Exactly. Suddenly, we were all quite complacent about who we are, what we want to be, what organizations are, and what they want to be. Everything was going quite well, and suddenly, COVID hit us, individuals, professionals, as well as organizations. What happened? We were not prepared. We were not prepared for working from home. Business is conducted online. We were not prepared for that. We did not understand. Organizations thought that if they allow people to work from home, they would not get any work out of them. Then there was a lull in talent hiring, or company just retrenched staff. And cost cutting. Every organization cut costs, not only in talent, in the HR department in terms of talent, but in every other aspect. How did it impact talent acquisition? So there was a freeze in recruitment or minimal recruitment from the months of March to August. And I'm referring to months of March to August, in particular a reference to the UAE or the Gulf region. I think in India I think the problems still linger. What has happened to talent acquisition in this time? A total change in perspective has now come about, and we go through that later on. Human resources management has changed the way they think about their employees or their colleagues or their team members. The entire aspect of talent acquisition, the whole mood, the whole style of working in talent acquisition has changed. Earlier, there was a physical way of doing things, and now things have changed completely. The processes employed in talent acquisition have changed, and work from home has become a reality. Now, why have I pointed this out to you? They are the obvious ones. But are we prepared? We were not prepared then, but are we prepared? Before I go ahead, I'd like to say that this entire discussion is not addressed to people who are looking for jobs alone. It is addressed to everybody here present, whether you are in a career, whether you're pursuing a job, or whether you're just looking at improving yourself. I remember a discussion that I heard over a TED talk with Simon Sinek, and he said that career search, a career search is not when you've lost a job. It has to be a long-term process. There should be a continuous process. It's not that you should just change your CV. You should look at yourself and see how you can improve and how you can go on to take on the next role. That is what talent is all about. So let me go ahead to the next slide. What are the top trends in talent acquisition? Organizations are striving to combine roles in order to save costs. And I'll give you an example. Take, for example, a person who's working in marketing. Earlier in the marketing department, one would have somebody handling digital marketing, a junior person handling digital marketing, whereas the brand managers or the marketing managers would take care of all of the brand management. But now they expect a brand manager or a marketing manager to be a specialist in digital marketing as well. And I'm sure you'll have experienced the same. Many roles in organizations have become redundant. Painfully, I see quite a number of executive assistants, secretaries, receptionists who've lost their jobs simply because we're working from home and we become even more efficient in our correspondence and our administrative work. IT systems have been improved in order to help employees work remotely. So you can see every one of us, our organizations have taken care of us, given us better IT solutions. We're connected to the network, we're connected to our information base in the office. Like for us, we're connected to our database. Likewise, I'm sure you're connected to the main server in your organizations. A strong focus has come up. This focus is on processes and systems. And why? Because we are working from home or we're working from remote locations, not necessarily from home. You could have an employee who may be in India for that matter. Like, for example, I have a colleague of mine who settled down in Bombay, and I work with her very closely. And I'm sure your organizations do the same. So what do organizations do nowadays? What should they do, or what should we do in order to take care of these kind of situations? Top organizations are already looking at the future. They're looking at a time when they would need more talent. So they're not sitting quietly right now. If you look at LinkedIn today, or you look at any other Instagram or any other social networking site, you will see that organizations are talking about themselves, talking about what they're doing or about their products. You'll see them on YouTube, you'll see them everywhere. Why are they doing that? Because they want to engage with with talent who would be their future employees. So that is what is happening most vividly, and you will yourself notice what is happening. And I'm bringing this up because I have something to say to you about that. Talent acquisition specialists must be deeply involved. Now, when I refer to talent acquisition specialists, they could be somebody like me who works in a agency, or they could be in-house talent acquisition specialists. They would have to be both. Talent specialists would have to be totally involved in the business as business partners and understand the needs of the business effectively so they can help the organization grow and through identifying the right talent. Of course, it was necessary even before, but now it is increasingly so. New emerging talent acquisition strategies are now in place, and I'll come to that later on. But the most important part is artificial intelligence and robotics. Those factors, those aspects will play a very strong role in the hiring process. And it is good news, fellas. I'd like you to look at that picture on the slide. Can you see that little robot watching the lady in front of him? That robot is an interviewer. And I'd like to tell you a small story. This robot was created in Sweden, and it works in a recruitment agency in Sweden. And the name of this robot is Tengai. I'm not sure it's Tengai or Tenjay. I'm not sure about that. But this robot was created to interview candidates. This robot is fed in all the information about the job role, the competencies required for the role, both the technical and the behavioral competencies. And he questions the interviewer without any bias. What happens is that He interviews a host of candidates and immediately passes on the information to the recruitment or hiring manager. What happens is that there's no bias involved. Candidates who are looking for jobs are in a position to at least reach the second or third level without having a recruiter who has his or her own subjective opinion. AI, you yourself, I'm sure, have experienced artificial intelligence in your own kind of work, as well as if you're looking for a job. We talk about logarithms on LinkedIn. We talk about keywords. We talk about all that. All of that we talk about as recruiters is artificial intelligence. And that is playing a very important role increasingly even now. Hiring has become virtual, and the percentage in the UAE has increased by 78%. When I say it has become virtual, what I mean is that interviews are happening on a virtual basis via video conferencing. It's happening through Zoom or Teams or any other portal that is possible. I just had the same experience. My client would normally visit India to interview a host of candidates and then bring them here for an interview and then appoint them. But would you believe it? They had 3 or 4 Zoom interviews with the person, and yesterday he was made an offer. That's what present times are all about. And this is all positive news for job seekers because it has become a little easier for good candidates to obtain jobs. An increase in contingent, part-time or freelance hires on the increase even in the UAE. Earlier, there were no jobs available, but now companies realize, one is they can cut costs, and second, they realize there is a lot of talent waiting to be employed but can't join the workforce because they're young mothers or they have growing children. And this gives everyone an opportunity to take up part-time jobs or freelance jobs. And the government has given us permission to do that. There is a focus on a whole new set of competencies required for each job role. And I would like to talk to you about it. I know that a couple of weeks ago, my mentor, DTM Hariharan, had talked about competencies. But you need to know what are the key competencies all employers look for in the workplace. The most important is team playing. You have to learn to be a team player. Once you're in the office, you're a part of a team. You cannot act alone. You have to have a sense of responsibility. You have to have commercial awareness. And how would a talent acquisition specialist understand whether you have these competencies or not? There are ways of doing that. Every competency is assessed through the questions a recruiter asks you. You may wonder, why does a recruiter ask you stupid questions? That is why. They're not stupid, they have a reason. You need to improve your communications. That is vital, both written and spoken communications, very important. And I'll take that one step ahead when I go back to the slides. Leadership qualities. How do you demonstrate leadership qualities even if you're at the bottom of the rung and you've just joined an organization as a student who's just taken up his or her first job? Leadership means taking on responsibilities, trying to say, yes, I can do it, being accountable. Those are the stepping stones to be a good leader. Of course, ethics is very important, result orientation, problem solving, and organizational capability. These are the skills that everyone must develop. These are things that you can learn on your own. These are, not things, competencies that you can learn on your own. There is something that I'd like to talk to. There's another point that I'd like to say. Now, we talked about these competencies, and in the past, people would evaluate you on your capability on a particular job role. Have you got experience in that job? How good are you in that job, like a salesman or a sales professional? What was the volume of sales you did last year? What was the spend that you had? So that would actually evaluate your efficiency in your job role. But now companies also are looking for resilience. Can you withstand the pressures of these terrible times, these difficult times? Do you have the resilience to work hard, to really make a difference in your organization? Those are the competencies that one would look at. I'd like to talk about the last point, which is technical social connect. I don't know whether you've heard this term, but I'd like to talk to you about it. And I'd like you to read about it because I do not have the chance or the opportunity to talk about it right now. Technical social connect is, it's amazing. What has happened is that there has been this revolution over the net. Internet, mobile communication, and social media networks have been combined together by you and me, and we're using this vigorously. And that is the reason why we're able to work from home and work efficiently. We use all of these aspects. We use social media, we use the internet, and we use our mobiles. That is what is very important. Are you able to do that? If you can work from home, are you able to employ all of these? And of course, you know about EQ. When I talked about competencies, I was talking about EQ. Can you work on these capabilities, these competencies? So, what do you do as a professional? What would you do as a job seeker? Now that I've told you about this, I'd like to just go back to these slides and talk to you about some of the points that I raised, especially this one. Organizations are striving to combine roles in order to save costs. So, what happens to you? You might lose your job, right? But look at it this way. Suppose you're in a job at the moment. Should you be complacent? No. How can I improve myself so that I can add value to myself and to my team and to my organization? Should I develop my capabilities? Let me just go back to the marketing part. If I'm a marketing manager, how about going for a course in digital marketing? If I'm a digital marketing person, how about telling my organization, I want to learn, I want to do my MBA now because I want to be a marketing manager, or doing short-term courses online, which are very cheap. There are the organizations that charge $20, $10. Some of them are even free. Make use of those and develop yourself. The IT systems that we talked about here, if you know Excel, would you know advanced Excel? If you know advanced Excel, can you do data analytics? Would you like to do a course in data analytics? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself to be able to find a new job or to stay in the role that you have. You should make your company, your management understand that you are an asset to your organization. And that is very vital. I talked to you about these awareness programs that top organizations are involved in. So, what do you do about that? If top organizations are proactive about finding you, their future employee, what are you doing about it? What I'd like you to do is make a list of the companies that you would like to join, you would like to be employed by. And what you can do is follow them on LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn as a tool all the time and use it creatively. Follow those companies and follow what messages they have to say. Contact their HR manager, just invite her, make her one of your connections, and then keep posting topics which are relevant to these industries. That's how you create a buzz, and that's how these organizations watch you because they are using artificial intelligence. The minute you make a movement and you make lots of movements, you create a buzz. Artificial intelligence picks you up, and then you become a wanted person. So, I'd like you to also talk about robotics. I'd like you to study a little more IT, experience yourself, learn more about technical social connect, understand your competencies, understand where you can improve yourself, what you can do, and then I can promise you that you will have no problem finding your next job. Thank you so much. I'm open to discussions, questions.
Thank you very much Ruth, for your amazing insights on the top trend of talent acquisitions.
Thank you.
Now, I definitely agree with a couple of your points that is platform when, especially when you're a job seeker and especially when you are a leadership skills.
Sorry, Wenzel, I lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you guys, can you hear me now? Can you give me a
Yes,
thumbs up?
yes, I can. I can.
Okay, apologies for the bandwidth that's going fluctuating. Uh, I have a question for you right now is that how do you decide between two candidates with similar qualification when it comes to a decision making in talent acquisition?
So let me tell you what most talent acquisition specialists do, including myself. So you have two aspects. You have the technical competencies required, and that is what you're referring to. So most human resources managers would interview you and ensure that you have those technical competencies. Have you done this job? Do you have the qualifications, the experience? Have you done A, B, C, D, E, F, G? They will ask you all those questions. And that's fine. That's where two candidates will probably be identical in terms of their experience and their knowledge, etc. Then comes the competencies. And that is what makes the difference. And that is what is vital for candidates or aspirants who are looking for a job to think about. What is it that you're trying to convey to the recruiter? It's like a class act, it's like drama. You're an actor. You know what are the competencies required for a particular job. Like, for example, I would say, let me say for a recruitment consultant, for a talent acquisition consultant, you need to have very good communication skills. You need to have resilience. You need to be able to understand. You need to be understand people, be compassionate about compassionate with people, with candidates, as well as be intelligent enough to understand what your client wants. So you have all of these soft skills that are required. If I were going to hire somebody for my organization to work with me, I would like to see if that person has the right attitude. That would make the biggest difference for me between one candidate and the other. And that, I believe, is something that all organizations look at: attitude, and in my case, in recruitment, compassion, intelligence, um, process management, etc. So when you're looking for a job, look at those competencies and see how can I convince my recruiter that I have those competencies without saying it in so many words. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much for that. And we have a question from one of the audience that is, what is the difference between talent acquisition and headhunting? I believe that is also a question. What is the difference between talent acquisition and recruitment?
I explained what talent acquisition is all about, right? But executive search is a totally different ball game altogether. When you do executive search, there are so many things, there's so many parts of the process. So you go to your client and you identify what exactly the client wants. You write a project report, you understand, and you write a project. See, listen, guys, I've understood what you're looking for. So though you have a job description, you make notes on that. Then you do a market study. You do a full market study. Now, this market study could be regional, it could be local, it could be regional, it could be global. And you will have to tell your client or the client will have to tell you, I need a global search, or no, I need a Gulf search. I want candidates from India. They would give you different, different regions to look from. I would do that. I would make a map of all the companies that I would headhunt from. Once I have that, I would make a list of all the candidates from those companies. Once I've done that, I would contact the candidates, I would interview them, and then I would tell my client, listen, these are the guys I contacted, and I do believe that these are my best choice. That is executive search.
Thank you. I believe that has answered your question. And one of the instances that I would assume that you might have gone through this is you know for a fact that this candidate is the best for the suitable position, but and the client is in need of him, and you are sure that he's going to turn up on that day, but unfortunately for due to unavoidable circumstances, he doesn't turn up. Maybe he doesn't keep you informed. So in such scenarios, do you have other candidates to match that that profile at least for the 80% of that job description?
So, are
So
you talking
how do
about?
you in that case? Yeah, yeah.
Please go
So
ahead.
how do you in that case put across to, yeah? So how do you put across to the candidate who then turns up after a few days and saying that, okay, I'm really sorry that you did not turn up, but and how does the relationship goes with that particular candidate?
I'll speak for myself and my colleagues. Okay, so I don't know where I wouldn't speak for the entire fraternity. The philosophy that we have in Daksada is that every candidate is important to us, however junior that person is. So we try and help the candidate as much as we help the client. In a situation like this, at least we wait to see what happened to the candidate. There could be a valid reason. Well, if there was no valid reason and he's decided not to take up the job, that's a different story altogether. But if the candidate is, if and especially if the candidate is really good and he couldn't make it for the appointment, I would definitely recommend him to my client and say, you ought to meet him even though he hasn't come in today. But if the candidate is irresponsible and doesn't care at all, well, then I wouldn't do anything about it. But it's not that I would leave him out of the, I would leave him out of the cold and say, okay, next job, I'm not going to give it to you. Get lost. No, I don't think that that is possible at all. Not in these times. Good candidates are difficult to come by.
Thank you. That was would be what.
Wenzel, you're breaking, I believe. Your voice is not clear.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. What if we have all the qualities, but how do we display it through on our?
On the CV, how would
Yes.
where would you display it? I'm sorry, Wenzel, is it display in the CV or during the interview?
Okay.
Voice is breaking up, my friend.
Wenzel, can you just try the video
Really
off?
sorry. Hi. I'm really sorry that my internet is fluctuating very badly.
Okay,
But
that's okay.
the question is, what if we have all the qualities what we match with the job profile, but how do we display that in the CV? This is a very generic question from one of the audiences that over here. Uh, I believe one of the answers from your end would be your keyword search, but rest of the things I would hand over to you to answer that questions.
First of all, have a structured CV. Your CV is your representative. So you have to mention all of your um, I would prefer that a CV has your responsibilities and your achievements listed per company that you worked in. That way, the person who is looking at your CV, the talent acquisition specialist who is viewing your CV, knows that you have accomplished so much. And having accomplished so much, he or she understands your responsibility. So sometimes it's not even important to mention your responsibilities because your achievements have proved what your responsibilities are. So always list your achievements under the position, title, and who you've reported to. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much. Now, I may not come in front of the video because of my
Yeah,
bandwidth
it's
issue.
okay. It's okay. No problem.
But there are a couple of questions. How can a candidate confirm whether he or she has been hired? Should he or she wait for the HR call once she has been interviewed successfully? Or is there any specific time period to expect for a call for the final offer letter?
There is no time. And especially here, there is no time. I think we have to all be very patient. But I'll tell you what you can do. The most important thing is what you as a candidate applying for a job should do is to create that relationship with the person who's interviewing you. So it could be the consultant or who has sent you for a job, or it could be the in-house recruiter. Create a relationship with that person. So how can you do that? Send her a mail as soon as you finished your interview, thanking her for taking the trouble, for having done all the stuff that she did for you by organizing the interview, by ensuring that she was comfortable, for having a good interview, whatever. Thank her for that. And in that mail, say, may I contact you in 2 or 3 days' time so that I know what is happening about the role. After that, she will tell you, maybe you can WhatsApp me, maybe you can email me, maybe you can do something like that. Maybe you can give her a call. You can do, you can have some connection, some communication with her. And then eventually, if nothing works out, pick up the phone, talk to her, or send her a mail saying, I'm very anxious. You don't have to say that. Sorry, you should not say you're anxious. You can say, I am so interested in this role and I know that I will be an asset to your company. I'm looking forward to hearing from you on a positive note. I think that would be best, but don't pester. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, for that wonderful answer. Now, the next question is, how can a potential candidate beat ATS age? Any specific tips in this regard would be useful.
When I'm sure you've had these discussions even through empowerment talks or through Dubai job hunts. But when I've given talks in the past, I've always said the same thing that when you develop your CV, you don't start writing your CV on a piece of paper and think that is the beginning. When you write your CV, you have to start at the very beginning, which is writing down your responsibilities and adding keywords over there. So um, let's take the example of marketing, for example. Just look at that because I've been talking about marketing. So if you're looking for a marketing role or say a brand manager's role, what are key the KPIs of that role, of a marketing role or a brand manager's role? Write them down. What is it that is in the job description? Look at various job sites, look at LinkedIn and see what are the words everyone is using to define you as a marketing manager or a brand manager. Put those keywords in your CV. That is how your CV will come up through artificial intelligence. But if your CV is an essay of beautifully written English, it will go into the bin. I can tell you that. Because it will not reach the recruiter or the HR person. It's just a beautiful CV. So even when you get your CV written by an external person, make sure that you have done your work of defining your role, of ensuring that the keywords are given to the person writing the CV, and then go ahead. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. The next question is, do you foresee the trend of sending video CVs to the recruiter in the near future, considering the new normal now?
A yes and a no. Video CVs had become a trend sometime last year, and everyone was talking about video CVs. And yes, it's a good idea to have you stand in front of the camera and talk about yourself, but because it gives the interviewer an idea of who you are from your facial expressions, etc. And I said no as well, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because most interviews are happening online. So what happens now is a person, the HR manager or a recruitment consultant might receive your CV from a job site or somewhere else. And the first thing that he or she would do, say, let's have a chat online. Come on Zoom or come on Teams. I'd like to talk to you. So what happens is that the interaction has become immediate, not like before. What would happen before is there would be sequences. Your CV went to the recruiter, in-house or external, then it went to an HR manager, then it went to a line manager, then it came back to the HR manager, and the process went on and on and on. But now it doesn't happen that way. Recruitment has become a little more efficient, I would say, because things have become easy. COVID has opened the doors to online interviewing, like it has opened doors to online business. So I, I would say yes, you could have a video of yourself talking about yourself. And well, if you can't do that, don't fret because you will eventually meet your recruiter online.
Thank you very much. Now, the next question is, with an oversupply in the market and younger talent, how does one rebrand themselves given that I am in the older age bracket and have over a decade of experience?
I'm glad you said that because I'm glad you asked this question because there is a great amount of talent available in the market today. Well experienced people who are in the age group of say 40 to 50. And because they've reached that level, because they have been in organization for a long time, they earn an extremely good salary. That's the reason some of them have lost their jobs because they have become a cost center. And there is young talent who can do the same work for much less than what he is than this particular person is earning. So what do you do in those kind of circumstances? What would an older person in the age group of say 40 to 50 do in these kind of circumstances? Do you just wait? Okay, I've sent my CV to Daksada, I've posted my CV on Naukri, on Bait, I've improved my LinkedIn profile. That's not enough. Because you're now a senior professional, what you need to do is network. Network. That is the key word. You have to not only do this, you need to talk to recruiters, you need to talk to HR professionals, you need to be on LinkedIn, you need to do all of this, but very importantly, you need to network. Network with your peers, network with the people who you worked with. Maybe your business partners, they may be in another organization, they know your capabilities. Network is the key factor. If you do not network, you do not know what is happening. Let me explain to you what is happening right now in the recruitment world. Because of cost cutting, very many organizations are trying to do their own hiring. They do not reach out to people like us who would probably help them, ease their burden and help them identify the right candidate. I know very many organizations where the HR department has been told, cost cutting, don't use recruitment agencies, work on your own, and the department has been the HR department has been mandated to hire people on their own. And what happens? We do our due diligence. We have mapping to do. Like I told you, for executive search, we market map. All good recruiters map the market all the time. We know exactly who's who and where. If you ask any good recruiter, what is the name of that person who works in Friesland as a supply chain head? I'm talking about Avel Pinto, and I should say Avel Pinto. Okay, so that is how well networked we as recruiters are. But in-house recruiters aren't, because they have yet not developed those skills. And I'm not casting any aspersions to them; they are extremely good. But what I'm trying to say is that is the reason why you, as a candidate, needs to network to reach out to those people. Now, how do you network? Not just pick up the phone and talk, because nobody's going to talk to you. LinkedIn is a tool where you connect with the HR managers, you connect with the sales managers in the company, the CEO of the company. And I can tell you, the more senior the person is, the kinder they are, the more welcoming they are, and they're more willing to help you and give you advice as to how to go about things. I can promise you, I have met a number of CEOs, CFOs, senior CXO managers who take the time to mentor you, even if you're a stranger. So reach out to them, network, talk to as many people as you can. Don't feel embarrassed to say that you've lost your job, because I realize now very many people are embarrassed to say they're jobless. Don't be. Ask for help. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you very much for that question, for that answer on connecting the right source. Now, I have experienced this artificial intelligence while I was recruited with my previous company, and I believe the round was called as Versant round, wherein you pick up the phone and then you follow the instructions. Now, I see that I was one of the luckiest to get selected to that round, but many of them got rejected. So if you can provide some information, how does the AI work, whether it's based on the communication or whether it's based on the behavior pattern or on the voice that the job seeker is going to?
Yeah, one very important point, and that is what I was talking about. Everybody needs to upgrade their IT skills. You need to know how to use automation. That is very important, especially when you're using all this automation for interviewing. It's very important for you when they say press one to go here, press two to do that, or press three. You cannot panic at that time. So you need to be really efficient in the way you use your laptop and follow the instructions, because you have limited time. That is one point. The second point in terms of AI uh, is something that I just learned, and that is there are um, there is software available that companies, organizations use. They are expensive, but organizations use these softwares, and we are actually promoting one of those softwares that does what I'm going to tell you. So, as a part of the engagement program that an organization can do, um, you know, um, let me just give you an example. You have your biometrics as you enter the office, and you have that you key in your password, and then you enter the organization, right? At the same time, there'll probably be a camera. Now, the camera will observe whether you're smiling, whether you're happy to come into the office, or you're angry and you're making a big face and you're coming with a bad mood. The camera observes the emotions. If you're happy, it even notices how your eye is dilated, and it indicates that you probably are in A, B, C, D mood, or you are emotionally upset, whatever. That's how advanced artificial intelligence is. Of course, it's not going to happen to all of us. I'm not saying that all organizations use these modes, but since you talked about artificial intelligence and you talked about how lucky you were to get the job and others weren't, it's because your camera can observe and make notes of the emotions that you're in. So, say you're working on this particular interview and you're panicking because you don't know what to press and what to do, and you're nervous. That is what it takes, perhaps.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for answering that questions. And I hope this session was very useful. Now, I have a last question from the audience, and that is all about what you be suggesting the job seeker who are looking into sales and marketing fields? Would it be the right idea to send their marketing skills video to the recruiter?
Who is the recruiter? If it's a in-house recruiter, maybe, but not not in the first instance. I would say not in the first instance, because both in-house and external recruiters will not have the time to look at your video. But I would say you could do that at the second level after asking permission. Say, I've created this PowerPoint presentation. I've created this video of what I did in Carrefour to promote my brand. Would you like to see it? And then that is an opportunity for you to show the video. But I would say into the very first instance, you have to be a little diplomatic how you deal with the situation. If the person is eager and wants to know more about you, like say, for example, in an executive search environment where the consultant is completely responsible to make sure that you are the perfect candidate at a senior role, then yes, that person would want to know everything about you. And if it helps the person to recommend you to the client, yes, then she would say, yes, show me the video. But in general situations, I would say hold your horses, not the first instant. Seek permission and then can show your PowerPoint presentation or a video. A video is nice, yes, but at the second level.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for all the answers that you gave to all the questions. Now, I understand that audience has got so many questions. Now, before that, for the viewers of YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much for watching us live. And if you have questions, you can comment us on, you can drop your questions on the comment box and we should reach you back individually. Now, before I would love to hand over this podium for the vote of thanks. Now, before that, Toastmaster Ruth Fernandez, may I please have your feedback on this session? How did you like the Empowerment Talks platform and this Career Day session with the By Jobs Hub?
The reason why I'm here is because of you, all of you. I have a really high regard for Abel, who's a very good friend of mine, and I really admire the kind of work that he does with Dubai Job Hunts. I've not come to these. I must apologize. I haven't come to too many of these empowerment talks because of paucity of time. But I know that you are all doing a great job, and I'm happy to be here for that reason, because I know that along with you, there are lots of people looking for jobs, and I feel that a little word of a kind word, little advice would probably help them a long way. It may not help, it may not give them a job, but it might help them to sustain themselves and do something more to get a job in the future.
Thank you very much.